This made no sense to me, but I'll tell you why it makes sense. Ohio State won 70-0 against Grambling. Why would you schedule Grambling? Well, there were about 4 schools this past weekend that scheduled schools from the historically black colleges and universities. They did it to financially help them out. I don't know what the payday to Grambling was, but I bet it's probably $300,000 to $400,000 to go in there. They did it. South Carolina did it. Miami did it. It's important that you help those black schools in the SWAC who are dirt poor. But that was hard to watch. Gremlin's kids go in there and get killed, 70-0. Julian Sayin, the freshman quarterback, threw for 306 and 4 touchdowns. Buckeyes, why are you leaving your starters in for such a long period of time in a blowout game? 651 yards in offense, but that's why Ohio State paid Grambling. Oregon, this was real payback. Mike Gundy, yap. He spent the whole week at press conferences at Oklahoma State talking about Oregon, talking about Nike's resources given to the Oregon Ducks, talking about facilities, etc. Dan Lanning left his starters in, and they beat Oklahoma State 69-3. Just whacked them. And I tell you, Gundy's got problems at Oklahoma State. He's already been forced to take a pay cut, give money back. His program, I think, is 1-11 now, dating back to middle of last season. Gundy's got some real credibility problems. He just talks and talks and talks. Dante Moore, Oregon quarterback, coming out party 263 passing. They had 631 yards in offense, and Lanning left his starters until late in the fourth quarter to respond to all the insults that Mike Gundy made. Utah, 63-9 win over Cal Poly. Ouch, but you would expect that playing a smaller Division I team. How about the quarterback, Devin Dampier? He's the kid that was in New Mexico last year. Led an offense that had 518 yards. Utah is the real deal.
Wow.
And that Dampier kid has made a big difference. And maybe the surprise game of the weekend, there were not a lot of great matchups. Fresno State ran the ball down Oregon State's throat and beat them 36-27. Dogs had almost 200 yards on the ground. Oregon State's quarterback, who is a transfer from Duke, Malik Murphy, he can throw it all over the place. Malik Murphy threw for 372 and 4 touchdowns, but they didn't play a bit of defense. Oregon State gave up 520 yards defensively. So Fresno State, statement game, Bulldogs going into the Pac-12, and they do this to a vested Pac-12 school. I mean, they just punished Oregon State. And a lot of unhappy people up in Corvallis, Oregon right now. So those are some of the other games around college football.
Yeah, the schedule wasn't as interesting as week one, but just a couple of quick shout-outs. Cool to have Grambling State out there with Ohio State, because the two marching bands, and I think they had a cooperative halftime show. And then after the game, they had like a jam session amongst both squads.
It was cool.
And so I'm happy for them there. The Fresno State, Oregon State game, I watched most of that. And the Oregon State's like special teams completely just blew up. They were down to they lost their 2 long snappers. The third guy could barely snap, but he'd done it for the first time that day. And they just kept fumbling and bumbling in their special teams. And it ended up giving Fresno State the chance to win. And it was cool because this is like the coming together of the Pac-12 and the vision. So maybe some new rivalries are formed.
I mean, for Fresno State to run for 200, almost 200 against Oregon State. Wow. Yeah. Trent Bray, the Oregon State coach, is under a lot of heat up there in the Pacific Northwest.
He looked pissed.
Oh, really bad time. So that's all things college football. Feel free if you want to add some comments. Fans Forum chat box is open.